Church here, and welcome to the Game Grinder, and today I'd like to talk about my Midwest Gaming Classic 2018 experience. I had a blast last year, had fun making videos about it, decided to do it again, and what an awesome year and weekend it was. Of course, more video games and video game stuff than you can handle, but being joined by friends, meeting friends, and making new friends is really what made it best. So before we get to it, just want to give another shout out for the shirt here. I actually talked about this in my MGC 2018 pickup video. Chris actually had this shirt made for us, those who are on the Midwest YouTube Gamers panel. On the back it has the name of the panel and all of our logos. Unfortunately, this chair I can't really turn to show you, but I'll show a picture. And is definitely one of my favorite pickups. If you want to see the other pickups, definitely recommend checking out that video. So we decided to drive out to the convention on that Friday, April 13th. And I was joined by Jason of Corpse Slug Gaming, his wife, my friends Justin and Ryan, and what an awesome group of friends to travel with. Great conversation, jokes, laughing. I had a blast on the drive. Made it go by really well. I kind of feel bad for Jason, so I apologize for being stuck in the middle in the back seat. So if you have any future spinal problems, I apologize again. But hopefully it was worth it. So we weren't planning to go to any of the convention festivities that Friday evening. There was like some extra pass that you could pick up. But what I really wanted to do was meet up with some of the other Cartridge Club members. Once we got to Milwaukee, we checked in and then met up with Chris, the old ass retro gamer. Him, myself, Jason, Corpse Slug Gaming, and Jason's wife. We're heading to a nearby town to meet up with Musty Hobbit and some other Cartridge Club members. There's actually a little meetup at a place called 42 Ale House, which is actually a pretty neat little kind of like sports bar restaurant. They had video game consoles set up, some big screens. But it's definitely awesome seeing so many Cartridge Club members or members of any group in one place. This is my first chance meeting a lot of these people. And it's kind of a bummer I didn't get to spend more time with them, but you know, it is what it is. There's P1 of the Cartridge Bros, one of the founders of the Cartridge Club. Of course, Musty Hobbit, it's Rocket Sauce, Round 2 Gaming, the Mighty Q Dog and Mrs. Q Dog, Base Guy, and a few others I didn't really get the chance to meet, so I apologize for that. If anybody else wants to fill me in, let me know in the comments. I'd appreciate it. Yeah, it was really cool hanging out. Great food, great conversation. But after a bit, we wanted to head back to the convention and maybe find some parties or something. But pretty much as soon as I went to meet up with some people, we found out that they were actually closing down all the rooms at the convention at midnight, which nobody really expected. As years prior, some of the specialty rooms were able to stay up and basically kind of like party all night. But I guess being more of a convention area, less than a hotel, it's probably harder to do that, so that's unfortunate. So it made sense just to call it a night, save up a little energy for the next day. It's kind of also worth mentioning that I started hearing rumors about Billy Mitchell, one of the guys from the King of Kong documentary, had the world record for Donkey Kong, who has recently been stripped of those titles, was at the convention, but I hadn't seen him myself. Apparently, one of the guys in the turbo room took a selfie or something with Billy Mitchell digging in a trash can in the background. So it was a bit surprising to hear that just almost immediately after he lost his title for essentially what was being considered cheating, was going to go to a convention, but I guess maybe at the same time that was kind of a place where he could possibly do some publicity or PR stuff to try to improve his image, but I digress. So on to day 2 then, Saturday the 14th. Milwaukee was just starting to get some freezing rain. Back in Minnesota, they were getting nailed with a blizzard. I think by the time I finally got home, there was 18 inches, but fortunately didn't have any plans to really go anywhere besides in the convention itself. So after grabbing some breakfast, I decided to hit the vendor hall. And I gotta say, I really liked the layout this year. There was a lot more space. It wasn't so crowded and so packed. It wasn't hard to navigate around tables, which years prior it was. Not really necessarily a complaint, but it's nice to have all that extra room. It was bright, well lit, didn't have to deal with the weather, as the years prior it was in a tent. And did I pick up some games? Got some hookups from some friends. Another shout out to Dennis and Charlie, Lewis, Jesse, Cliff. Also saw Amanda, all friends and members of the MN Retro Gamers Continuum group. So awesome to have some representation there. This is when I actually saw Billy Mitchell. He was hanging out by, I don't remember what the table was, but he was just chatting with people, taking pictures. You know, is what it is, I guess. Famous, infamous. I mean, at this point, I didn't really care. Because basically at this point, I was trying to get to the presentation hall because I wanted to check out a live episode of Video Game Bullshit podcast with Jeffrey Wittenhagen and his friend Kyle. They had a great panel last year, had a fantastic panel again this year, basically talking about hidden gaming gems. Actually mentioned the couple that I ended up looking for while I was in the vendor hall. Didn't find what I was looking for. Chris did. You're lucky. But for anybody who's not familiar, I would highly recommend checking out the VGBS podcast, available on podcast apps. It's a really good one. Jeff's a really awesome guy, and maybe the name is familiar. He previously released the Complete NES guidebook and is just now releasing the Complete Super Nintendo guidebook, which are pretty sweet books. I don't have either of them myself, but hope to someday. So like I said, it was a really great panel. Unfortunately, I didn't get a picture with him this year. Afterwards, I met him at a little booth that he had set up, but you know, living in the moment, you forget some of that stuff. And actually, right before the panel, I almost forgot that myself, Jason, Corpse Blood Gaming, Chris the LS Retro Gamer, and Taylor of Rising Blue Phoenix met up, and we all went to the panel, did a little shopping on the vendor floor, and then made our way over to the John St. John and Johnny Gioli panel. John St. John being the voice of Duke Nukem among many other characters. Johnny Gioli, I guess, is the creator of most of the Sonic songs, like the songs with lyrics, pretty much forever. And their panel was How I Became Associated with an Iconic Character. And that was a pretty awesome panel. A lot of fun. Discovered a lot more about both of those guys that I had no clue about. I didn't know John St. John was actually such a prevalent voice actor. So that's pretty cool. What I really hoped to do after the panel was actually meet John St. John, maybe get a picture, maybe get an autograph. And lucky for me, he was actually set up doing just that. And what an awesome guy. Like, holy crap, was he super nice. More than happy to do pictures, do autographs. He'd do sound bites if you want to do a voicemail. He's a legend to me, so I was kind of like nerding out pretty hard and kind of took full advantage of what I could. So I got an autograph on my Duke Nukem bust, I got a picture with him, and then he was more than happy to do a little soundbite for the channel.
You're on the Game Grinder. Hey, the name's Duke Nukem. Hail to the king, baby. And hail to this channel too. Which
I showed in the pickup video as well, but you know, kind of cheesy, but hey, it's pretty awesome to have Duke Nukem mentioning my YouTube channel. You know? And then after that, it was back to the vendor hall, more game buying, more meeting up with other people. I actually ran into him a couple times at that point, and I actually ran into him many times throughout the rest of the convention, but I met up with Back in the Day Gamer. I share a link to his channel in the description along with everybody else. I'm a new subscriber to his channel, but really enjoyed what I've seen so far, and he is an absolutely awesome guy. It was great to meet you. Sorry plans fell through, so we couldn't really hang out later that night, but hopefully next year. I also met Erica, Back in the Day Gamer's wife, who was dressing up as Katana from Mortal Kombat. She was doing some promotions for the Video Games Monthly box people, which I didn't really get a chance to talk to them too much, but from everybody else, it sounds like those dudes were like super awesome. And then I also met up with Captain Algebra, who I've been following now for a few months. Again, great channel, awesome guy. It was awesome meeting everybody. Next year, I'm going to try to make it a point to be able to hang out for a little bit at least. Just say I owe everybody a beer next year. You can count on me for it. And then one thing I'd like to mention is kind of like a nobody, really small YouTuber. You know, my channel is small. You know, I appreciate everything that I got here. Like every single viewer, every single commenter, like I appreciate it so much. So maybe this isn't a thing for people with bigger channels when somebody recognizes you. So a guy asked me if I was the Game Grinder. I was like, yeah, absolutely. And he's like, yeah, I've checked out your channel before. I was like, that is freaking sweet. I will apologize. I kind of feel awful that I don't 100% remember exactly what this guy's name was. I believe your name was Ryan. Please correct me in the comments. But he mentioned he was an owner at a nearby arcade, actually, just over the border from Minnesota and Wisconsin in River Falls, a place called Vagabond Arcade, which I hadn't heard about before. And it's not too far of a drive. It's actually a pretty short drive. So I'm definitely going to have to make it a point to check it out. And thanks for the support and inflating my ego more than you would know. I also ran into Sarumaru, the creator of the game that I've been talking about a lot lately, FX Unit Yuki, or aka Henshin Engine as it used to be known. I managed to sneak into the end of his live stream, but somehow I forgot to get a picture with him. And Saru, thanks again for bringing along the treasure box. I really appreciate that. And for anybody who hasn't seen, I actually did an unboxing video for the FX Unit Yuki treasure box that I backed. Awesome game, awesome package. Really recommend checking it out. A little later Saturday evening, there was actually a meetup for the Midwest Retro Gaming Society. One of the founders, Ben, was trying to get a bunch of people together. He'd made a bunch of posters to commemorate the moment, which is awesome. And there was a fun little giveaway. There's a few framed posters and a couple of these really cool Nintendo repair documentation poster things that got put together. That was a random giveaway to people who showed up. And though I didn't get any of those, I did win the bonus item that he added to the giveaway, which is a copy of Mike Ditka's Big Play Football for the NES. And while I was editing my pickup video, I actually found out that this game is not available on ROM. It is an officially developed game that was never released. And back in 2008, Nintendo Age somehow got a hold of a prototype or something and put together a complete in-box package. And that's pretty much been it. So there's not a lot of videos or info on the game, so I'll probably be putting together like a little video. I know there's some forum stuff, but hey, here's a chance to talk about something kind of unique, something pretty neat. So then after the giveaway, everybody who showed up in the Midwest Retro Gaming Society group all got together, had some photos. A lot of these guys was my first chance to meet them. I met a few last year, but if you're in the Midwest or close to the Midwest, I would definitely recommend checking this group out. We're a Facebook group, no buy, sell, trade stuff, just talking about games and collecting. And some of these guys have amazing collections, holy crap. So then after that, we decided to go and get some food. Freezing rain was hitting hard in Milwaukee, but unfortunately by the time we got back, it was about 8 o'clock, and we discovered that they were closing down the convention at 8. Hugely disappointed in that. I was hoping at least it would go till 9. then we'd have like 4 hours to kind of hang out and party and stuff. I guess being a convention and not really like a hotel as it was years before, it's probably tougher to do that with security, blah, 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 is what it is, I guess. So that was really a drag, as that was really the things I was really looking forward to, is hanging out with people and just chilling and partying and maybe having some beers. So at that point, pretty much all these groups kind of splintered off into hotel rooms. It became hard to kind of coordinate with people. So I didn't get to hang out with a lot of the people that I wanted to hang out with, but I got to hang out with some. Jason and I joined some of the MNRGS guys, the Minnesota Retro Gamers Continuum. We hung out, had a good time. Didn't get to party until the wee hours of the morn, but hey, that's probably for the best, as the next day was kind of the big day. So, Sunday, April the 15th. This is the day of our panel, the Midwest YouTube Gamers panel. I will say my anxiety was kind of going a little crazy at the time, so to kind of calm my nerves, decided to hit that vendor floor to pick up some last minute scores. And I ran into PK of PK vs. the World. I've been following him for a long time. Awesome guy, great content. Met up with him last year as well. And then decided to head over to the presentation hall again, because not only were there a lot of Cartridge Club members at the convention, but there was actually a Cartridge Club panel as well, which I was really excited for. Now, as a Cartridge Club building a community, I don't believe they've posted the panel yet online. Really looking forward to watching it again, and I would definitely recommend checking it out. Of course, if you're not familiar with the Cartridge Club, they're basically think of a book club for video games, but it's a lot more than that. It's kind of focused around a forum website. Twitter seems to be the other kind of happening place, and it's content creators, podcasters, bloggers, gamers, collectors. Pretty much if you love video games and you love community, this is the place. And their panel pretty much exactly spelled out what that is, what it means to be the Cartridge Club, how they've kept their community strong, and it's an awesome community. Awesome panel. Great job, guys. It was P1, Musty Hobbit, Mighty Q-Dog, It's Rocket Sauce, and Round 2 Gaming. So again, look forward to that. I'm sure it'll be up eventually. So after the Cartridge Club panel, I had intended to get a picture with Musty Hobbit, but at the same time, there was actually a Cartridge Club group photo the night before that I didn't see the tweet about. So I was like, hey, can I get a group picture with everybody? And they're all happy to oblige, so that was awesome. Also had the chance to briefly meet with VG Collectaholic, one half of the Masters of Unlocking podcast. And then of course I got my picture with Musty Hobbit. And we had a little bit of time between their panel and our panel. Unfortunately, Taylor of Rising Blue Phoenix couldn't make the panel. He was going to be on it as well. But due to some car issues and weather, which Sunday it started snowing finally in Milwaukee. Minnesota had been long hammered by then. So myself, Jason of Corpse Like Gaming, Chris the Old Ass Retro Gamer, and Musty Hobbit of Second Breakfast met up to kind of figure out our final plans, and we did our panel. And our panel was Midwest YouTube Gamers, Programming Your Channel. And basically we talked about how we got started, why we made the choices we made in the content that we make. Things like promotion, involvement, less on the technical side of things. We didn't really talk about like cameras and microphones and stuff, but more how to run the basics of a YouTube channel and stay involved with a community such as the collecting community and the retro community and the modern gaming community. I would say I think we did a pretty awesome job. And if I didn't already mention it, that there will be a panel video up on my channel next. I just need to do some editing, so definitely look forward to that. Then I do want to mention, after our panel, I was approached by a guy, I'm sorry I do not remember your name, but he was another small creator, said some nice things that I really appreciated, and he gave me his card. His YouTube channel is Tesseract Unfolded. I haven't really had the chance to delve deep into his channel. It looks like he's more of a Let's Player, but thank you for the support and thanks for showing up to the panel. We really appreciated it. And then basically because of the weather, the blizzard that was happening pretty much for our entire drive home, right after the panel, we had to call it quits on the convention and head out. But before we left, had to get another group photo. Things were looking pretty rough for the drive back, and they sure were. I mean, it could have been a lot worse. Like I said before, it was a 5-hour drive. Took us 7.5 hours to get back. Huge thank you and props to my friend Ryan, who is driving. That had to have been pretty stressful. It was white knuckle like most of the time. Like, it was not good. But we made it back safe, and that was basically the Midwest Gaming Classic 2018. Like I said, there's a lot of video game stuff, but for me, it's more about meeting fellow friends, other friend YouTubers, and even if I didn't get any video games at the convention, that would have been an awesome experience. And it was. I got some sweet pickups, got some awesome stuff off my wish list. You can check out the pickup video if you are interested in seeing those. But again, it's the friends. Meeting new friends, all these great memories. Conventions are definitely some of the highlights of my lifetime, and that's largely possible thanks to you. So thanks everybody, thanks for being awesome, thanks for saying hey, and I hope we all can do it again next year. So that will pretty much do it for this video. I'm sure there's some very heavy edits here. You will not believe the challenges I have stringing a sentence together. But hopefully you enjoyed this. Let me know your thoughts. What are some awesome conventions you've been to? Were you at the convention and I didn't get a chance to meet you? Definitely check the comment sections for links to everybody else's channels. Jason, Corpse Leg Gaming, Chris the Old Ass Retro Gamer, Musty Hobbit of Second Breakfast, Taylor Rising Blue Phoenix, Cartridge Club, Back in the Day Gamer, Captain Algebra. Links below for everybody. And yeah, again, let me know your thoughts, and hopefully I can do this all again next year. Then as always, thank you very much for watching, and I will talk to you next time on the Game Grinder.